Welcome to Metal Tech Alley, a cluster of leaders, experts, and innovators who are driving new technologies and new products in the metallurgical, industrial recycling, and the IoT sectors right here in Trail, British Columbia. Hi, I'm Terry Van Horn, Executive Director of Metal Tech Alley, your host, and on this episode, we are at the Metallurgical Industrial Development and Studies Digital Fabrication Lab, MIDAS. This facility allows businesses, students, entrepreneurs, and the public to access high technology equipment to encourage innovation, ideation, and prototyping. On today's show, we learn more about a local entrepreneur who accesses the facility to turn an idea into a prototype and now is into production. We also hear how a traditional engineering company uses the technologies in this facility to improve their service. It looks like a simple vending machine, but Smart One Technologies has turned your average vending machine into a data collection touchscreen full experience. Imagine buying any product from the machine, and it already knows what your favorite kind is and what else you'll need to go with it. That's Smart One Technologies.
So Smart One builds a touchscreen, and it's a 49-inch 4K touchscreen that allows any existing vending machine to now be interactive to the customer. We were building vending machine ideas for schools on how students might be able to adopt new STEM technologies, science, technology, engineering, and math, and we found that the product didn't exist in the marketplace. So as we were developing it, we saw that there was more opportunity in the market, and then we had a lot of big players come on board with us. Marketing and advertising is something that most vending operators don't have an opportunity to use. All the vending machines that don't have an internet connection or don't have online connectivity, they're cash only. So 80% of the market is limited to cash only vending machines, which is fine for chips and chocolate bar, but you're missing a lot of clients. So now we have the opportunity to be able to expand the product offerings, so that can be community futures, that can be Chamber of Commerce, it can be tech spaces, but it can also be schools, which was the original intended target. So when we click on a product, we can now show that product in full 3D as if it was inside of the game controller itself. So this is based on the existing curriculum that BC schools are rolling out. So this is stuff that's been occurring for the past 5 years and into the next 5 years. And so we're using the products that they're teaching students by the teachers in the schools, and we're giving the teachers the additional ability to be able to now interact with the students and the product and find ways that we can further the reach. So that would be the Arduino, Raspberry Pi, the Microbit. There's lots of different platforms to use, and then all of the corresponding products behind there, those all plug in. So it gives a lot of opportunity. It might be one base or 3 bases, but 15 different things that can plug into it. Instead of giving a student $40 in cash to go buy something, a parent can use their phone to be able to purchase credit for an item and then hand that off to the student. So now they're locked into either buying a specific product or maybe a category of products on how the parent would like to see that money spent, or to make sure that things are completed in a certain order. So a teacher can limit a part being dispensed for part number 2 until the student has completed lesson number 1. Vending machines operate 24 hours a day with very little input from the actual operator. You don't know who your clients are, you don't know what they're doing or what they're interested in. So by adopting now the community angle, the tourist information or the Chamber of Commerce angle of knowing the customer, what they're in town for, are they thinking of moving here? Do they need some resources or attention? We can now put maps, product guides, that kind of stuff, but they can also then sell local products. So if there's chocolate bars or cosmetics that are created locally, maybe something that's always at a farmer's market, now that it can exist every day of the week in a number of centers. We've partnered with Intel, the processor manufacturer, and they have a lot of automated retail technologies. For what we built today, we can do a heck of a lot. But now with their partnership and their interest in our project, there's a lot more opportunity for us to join in the vending machine world, to kiosks, to point of sale terminals, to be able to do digital signage, and we kind of create a whole new ecosystem. It's a disruptor for all of these industries, and we're able to do this on a platform that allows anybody to bring their product or their idea. So if you need a thumbprint scanner, you need facial recognition, you need some information or training behind a product, it's all point and click. And you only have to understand the side of retail. You don't actually understand the technology side because we offer that as a subscription service. Nobody's ever seen an opportunity like this before. One, we're venturing into brand new territory. Vending operators haven't had this opportunity, but even more so, the schools have never had this level of support like this. Support in the curriculum, but also support for getting the product into the right people's hands. So if it's a parent, a student, a teacher, a principal, it doesn't matter because we're ultimately putting this in the right place at the right time, making this machine possible to vend just about anything beyond snacks.
Many people move to the Kootenays for the lifestyle, especially the abundance of local skiing and snowboarding. Up next, we'll hear from one man how he used the facility to turn his passion on the slopes into a new business.
Jonathan Query first came to the Kootenays to check out the Powder Highway, and after seeing firsthand the great snowboarding terrain, the European native decided to make the Rossland area home.
Originally we came to the Kootenays in Red. I came with my girlfriend and we did a snowboard instructor course here at Red. We then took our qualifications over to New Zealand and taught over there for a season. And then we were lucky enough to get jobs back at Red, which was great. But then being a snowboard instructor doesn't pay many bills. And we both got jobs in our field. I'm a machinist by trade. And through that we've got residency and stayed here.
The terrain that Query fell in love with also got his imagination going with an idea for a new snowboard that is better able to handle the trees and the mountains that make up the Kootenay Powder Highway.
That's right. The concept behind the boards we're making is to make smaller boards that still have the same surface area as some of the larger boards, with the concept being that most of the terrain that we snowboard on around here is steep and treed. So you want a board that's going to respond quickly and make short turns. So that's just what we decided to do. The business is a small startup snowboard company called Starlight Snowboards. This year is all about product development. Nothing's going to get sold right now. And we've been using the facility down at Midas to produce various components of the snowboard that then all get glued together and pressed to make the final product.
While Query is no stranger to building snowboards, he did find that having the help from Metal Tech Alley and the Midas Lab really made his concept go from a dream to a reality.
Been playing around making snowboards for about 6 or 7 years now. I built my first one back in England, and I've built a handful through the years. And then this year I just wanted to do something more professional, more involved, and having the Midas facility really helped that I can make something and make a really good professional product and be able to make changes to it and then be able to feel those changes out on the snow.
Metal Tech Alley helps to connect entrepreneurs with technology and works with the Midas Fabrication Lab, giving creators equipment like the ShopBot to build a full-size prototype of their idea.
I actually first found out about Midas. One of the boards I'd built a few years ago, we were out just in the back country playing with me and a buddy, and this guy who knew about Midas told us about it and told us about a meeting that was going on later that week to basically sell it to the public. And we went along to that meeting. I got involved through that and helped from the outset, helped them set up some of the machines and do some work there as a volunteer. And then it's just grown from that. I'm now more focused on my own projects, but the guys down at Midas have been super helpful and, directing me down the right path on some of the machining aspects.
For Query, the best part was being able to take his new snowboard direct from the Midas Lab to Red Mountain to test it out.
It's pretty rad. I mean, we've got this on our doorstep to come and test things. You've got Midas down there, and to buy that machinery that's down there and be able to, start a small company with that machinery would take a massive investment, and it's just such a golden opportunity to do something and come and play with it here.
On these Metal Tech Alley Tech segments, we will learn more about other technologies currently in the West Kootenays, as well as we will learn more about the program and the Midas Lab. For more information on Metal Tech Alley, you can go to their website, and to learn more about Starlight Snowboards, you can check out Query's website, starlightsnowboards.com.
Austin Engineering has transformed a traditional engineering company by using technologies here at the Midas facility to help them better understand their customers' needs, and now are using the strategy globally.
Started Austin Engineering just over 4 years ago, and we did it at a bit of an opportune time. Like, I've always been involved in dams, and I actually, right out of school, put the anchors into 7 Mile Dam right here in Trail. And I've been lucky enough to spend most of my career working in dams. And at the time, just before starting Austin Engineering, I was working for Fortis as their manager of Generation Engineering. They were looking to sell off Fortis Generation East and Fortis Ontario and kind of downsize the number of assets they had. And I was thinking, you know, I've got a great skill set and a great team, and we might get a little bit bored. So we decided to venture out on our own and start our own company.
So our specialty is civil, structural, geotechnical engineering, and our highest and best use of this combination of skills is dam safety and hydropower engineering. For dam safety, we work with municipalities throughout the province, both on new builds and on retrofit and upgrades. And we also are very fortunate to work with the 2 large power generators in our province and work on, well, we're very fortunate to have Fortis Electric as one of our key corporate partners. And on the phase 1, we did phase 1 and phase 2. On phase 1, we partnered with both Fortis BC and the Digital Fabrication Program and Jason Taylor's program out at Selkirk. And what we were able to achieve was to create a hydraulic model using a co-op student from Jason's program at Selkirk for use in many things. So a hydraulic model can show the best material for retrofitting the dam. It can show the best material for increasing the power generation of the dam. But this particular model, the plant manager and the Fortis managerial team wanted to have a model they could bring out into the community, one, to show what power generation is, and 2, to develop safe work plans. So in this case, they were retrofitting the gates, and he's going to have divers in the water in front of these gates. So in order to develop a safe work plan for these divers who are going to be operating in and around an extreme consequence dam, it's much easier for them to sit around in a nice warm office and be able to come up with an excellent work plan. It's more easy than being out in the field and developing that same work plan. So this was phase 2 of a very similar project. We kept the team together with Austin Engineering, Fortis Electric, and Selkirk. And we contacted a very good friend of ours, Dr. Sharia Lam, who is a well-respected structural engineering instructor and professor at UBC Okanagan. And we said, what if we took one of these hydraulic models and put it on a shake table? So for seismic analysis, static structures, so for example, a bridge or a building, a road, it's very well understood how they will react in an earthquake situation. But the really interesting thing about these dams is they have a constantly moving body of water behind them.
The tough part is matching the natural frequency of the dam, right? So now we can print a dam in any shape, create a mold of it, and then cast a number of different materials until we match that seismic frequency. So it gives us the ability to do some testing that hasn't really been done before in terms of matching shape and style of a dam. And what we've just completed with UBC is a study on the interaction between the water on the upstream face and the actual dam. So we printed a dam, we put a bunch of seismic testing gear on top of the dam and got the natural frequency. We then put the dam in a tank on the table so we could test it both without and with water, and compared the without and the with.
You can spend 6 months and $500,000 using the traditional methods, or we can rapidly prototype multiple models so they can learn more about every aspect of their dams that before it was simply cost prohibitive to work towards. So the feedback so far has been really positive. Well, we're very fortunate at Austin Engineering to have a relatively small company, so we can be very quick and nimble and not only absorb new technology quickly, but also be able to innovate. We don't have layers of bureaucracy. If we want to do it, we just do it. And we've got an incredible team that brings all their highest and best ideas to the table. We've got an incredible network, so we know who to call. We live in a community where everyone's so connected. We are seeing this impact of where we can go with this seismic analysis of extreme consequence dams through the use of shake tables, through the use of hydraulic modeling. We already have our partners lined up for phase 3, and we'll be presenting at the International Conference on Large Dams in Ottawa in the spring. So it's definitely instilled confidence, having this incredible network of people, having this incredible set of tools that we're able to not only use but be trained on to such a high level. It's tremendous.
When you think about technology, you don't think about the role it plays in mining and metallurgy. Up next, we meet a woman who's immigrated with her family to the region to do just that right here in the Kootenays.
As a little girl, Anelda was always interested in rocks. At the age of 7, her grandmother first put the word geologist into her head.
When my grandmother came over for a visit, and I was proudly showing off my beautiful rock collection, and while she was admiring one of the pieces, or possibly pretending to admire one of the pieces, she asked me, Anelda, have you ever considered becoming a geologist? And up to that point in time, I've never even heard of the word. So that has just set me on this incredible journey that I have never regretted.
For Van Staden, the uniqueness and diversity of the career is what she enjoys the most.
Well, my favorite thing about being a geologist, and actually specifically working at Teck, is within the first week of arriving in this small town in the middle of nowhere, I was able to apply my expertise on a fairly challenging project. And I remember thinking, these specimens remind me of my children. Not only are they all over the place, it's like herding cats, but they're all unique and just different in their own way. So the thing that I've really enjoyed working at Teck and being a geologist is the fact that not only can I apply my skills, but I've also been able to grow it and extend it into so many different areas. And the fact that I get to work with a multitude of different people across the board, throughout the mining value chain, and at different sites all the way from the north of Alaska down to Chile, that's really just an added bonus.
As the senior process mineralogist at Teck, Anelda gets the chance to use a wide variety of advanced technology to look for new ways to discover and remove materials from the Earth's surface.
I take care of a lot of the technical projects all the way from exploration, so we're actually going to try and find a mine or prove up the concept of, can we actually make this rock a resource? And then we would actually analyze those samples using scanning electron microscopes. We've got a lot of amazing toys that I get to play around with. And we would characterize the rocks, and then we would actually tell the engineers, hey, you know, these are the ore minerals. You may need to think about, you know, different processing routes if we find that it's not feasible to mine it per se, or if there's any deleterious elements that might increase the risk of mining that specific resource. And then we also get amazing different metallurgical products from trail operations and from all of our other concentrators as well, where we actually help them with diagnostic mineralogy and helping them figure out what in their process they may need to change, if there are any changes that they need to make.
Geology is not a field that is typically dominated by females, but Anelda has a recipe for success that has pushed her to the top.
I have to say, you know, if you just focus, and I would say there's probably 5 areas that I would recommend women to really focus on for their careers, and that is, firstly, you know, there are amazing courses and training offered by our employers at most places. And especially with regard to the softer skills, you know, the people skills, I find that as scientists we are sometimes really technically well trained, but we lack the people skills. And I think once you really join the job force, that's when you realize, you know, my technical skills are going to get me that far, but I really need the people skills and the interpersonal relationships. And then secondly, I found that conferences has been fantastic ways to actually not only network but also collaborate and find out about new research initiatives that are out there. And I've also challenged myself by presenting on topics that I feel comfortable with. And I know it's scary, it's always scary, but it's such a great way to grow. And thirdly, I've had great mentors throughout my life. And it can be anyone. When I was growing up, it was my grandmother. And fourthly, I can really recommend getting a coach. I have a fantastic coach, Kate Wan, and she is still helping me become more perfectly imperfect in many areas. And last but not least, family support, that goes such a far way. And I'm completely grounded by the fact, that it's only by grace that we were able to make this amazing new life for ourselves here in Canada. And without the help of my husband, Wynand, and encouragement of my children, I would fail miserably. And I would really challenge the ladies out there to follow this recipe for their lives and their careers and see the difference it makes.
Technology is constantly advancing, and that opens up opportunities to explore new materials.
There is so many interesting technical aspects that people are looking at, like 3D CAT scans of your rocks. Who would have ever imagined using a CAT scan to scan the rocks and to determine where the ore minerals are? And especially because the ore deposits are really much finer grained than they used to be, and we're actually now forced to explore them because we've run out of all the other good stuff. I think this is going to go a far way in helping us assess where the ore minerals are and coming up with better beneficiation methods to extract the valuable minerals.
Well, that's it for this episode. Thank you for joining us. Next episode, we'll be continuing to look at some more innovations that are happening here at the Midas facility.